A lot has happened with crypto, especially this week. I mean, we started the week off with Bitcoin around $109,000, and here we are, the end of the week, and we just checked prices around 12:30, and we saw Bitcoin above $123,000. So, how do you explain what's going on this week? I mean, we haven't really gotten any new economic data. We were supposed to get the jobs report today, and with the government shutdown, that didn't happen. So the last piece of economic data that we got was private payrolls. We saw a decline, the biggest decline in 2.5 years. So how do the macro factors play into what's happening with Bitcoin right now, and what other factors are at play?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I got into Bitcoin at sort of a $20, it was always a bet against the irresponsibility of governments and printing a lot of money by central banks. So it's always been an insurance against that. And what we're seeing now is that, yes, there is a government shutdown, but Bitcoin works 24/7. It never shuts down. And I think there's also realization that at some point the interest rates will have to come down because there is a slowdown. And as such, it's a risk on assets. And from that standpoint, Bitcoin always shines. So I think people are pricing that in. And we have October, which is always Uptober. So we're in a good spot.
And we're in striking distance of Bitcoin's recent all-time high reached
Yeah.
back in August above $124,000.
Yes.
Do you think we can surpass that all-time high? And if so, can we stay there? What will it take?
For me, it's a directional bet. So we're going to 1 million, and after that, we're going to 10 million. So it's just a matter of time. From that standpoint, I'm taking a long-term view. And everyone, I've been advising people to get into Bitcoin at $20, $200, $20,000 and $120,000, because at the end of the day, it is a scarce value. It's a digital gold and has all the properties to be anti-inflationary and anti sort of a centralized government spending. So it's a directional bet.
And you always believed in Bitcoin. I mean, we spoke with you. CNBC Squawk Box
Yes.
interviewed you back in 2014
Correct.
when the price of Bitcoin was around $450.
Correct.
And here we are with Bitcoin above $120,000.
Correct.
So, how do you explain what happened between then and now in the 11 years since that interview?
Well, I think first and foremost, the global debt of the governments has increased dramatically. The continuation of spending by OECD countries has continued on, and the central banks quantitative easing and printing, releasing more fiat. And when you have all of this combination of factors, then you have Bitcoin shining. That's one. Second, it has been institutional adoption. So I think what BlackRock has done for the industry has been profound, and Fidelity in terms of allowing the access to Bitcoin in a very easy manner, because that was not the case before. And we're seeing this institutional wave that kind of got unleashed when Paul Tudor Jones wrote the article in support of Bitcoin. For me, that was an aha moment, and I knew that that would start a major institutional avalanche. And now we're in a great spot, and Bitcoin's future is very bright.
Going back to that interview in 2014, you discussed the fundamentals of Bitcoin when, 2014, Bitcoin
Yes.
was a pretty new industry.
Yes.
You believed in it since the get-go.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, at the time of that interview, you were showing this chip.
Yes.
And you said that the chip wasn't going to be in existence in around 9 months from that
Correct.
interview because of how fast the industry was
Correct.
evolving.
Yes.
So what have you seen between then and now in terms of the development of Bitcoin and the industry at large?
Yeah, so that chip went on to mine close to 1 million Bitcoins in the industry. That was the workhorse, for us, and one of the most successful ventures. The issue with, or let's say the focus of the Bitcoin miners is you always got to stay ahead of the wave, and always got to be innovating, always got to be driving the technology. And what we've seen is over the last 10 years, the field became so much more capital intensive, where you need to raise a lot of capital to deploy the data centers and to always stay ahead of the competition. And what we're seeing now is few of the Bitcoin miners are transitioning to the AI HPC play, and they're doing extremely well. And we are fortunate to have backed Hot 8, which used to be Bitfury Canada, and Cypher Mining, which used to be Bitfury USA. And both of those stories are going very, very strong with thousands of megawatts under their belt and transitioning to ride the AI HPC wave. So I'm very bullish.
Expanding on that, Bitfury obviously is also in the AI space now.
Correct.
Before it was only mining Bitcoin. And we're seeing a lot of that with other Bitcoin miners, as you noted.
Yes.
CleanSpark, Bitfarms, those are some examples.
Yes.
But do you think we'll see any more pure play Bitcoin miners, or do they almost have to move into AI in order to compete, especially as Bitcoin rewards are declining?
Correct. I mean, you see right now a huge push from the hyperscalers coming in and bidding for the energy. And Cypher, for example, was very fortunate 5 years ago to be one of the first large entities in Texas securing this energy sort of a contracts. And now sort of it's capitalizing on all of this. I think Bitcoin mining will definitely play a role, but given the massive race for the AGI, I think that will become a big part of the pie and big part of the growth story. And both Hut and Cypher are sitting very pretty in that.
Now, going back to that interview in 2014, at the time, Bitfury was mining 40% of the Bitcoin in circulation. Yes. And as you noted, now there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of other Bitcoin miners out there. So where is Bitfury now in that regard, and how has competition changed the game for you?
Yeah, so Bitfury incubated Hut 8 and Cypher, and we hold equity stakes in those companies. They have both superb management and growth projections. Bitfury itself also incubated a European top chip maker company called Accelera that designs the chip, so we're playing through that. And we have one project in chip making in a stealth mode, and hopefully in a couple of years' times we'll announce. And if the material science checks out on that and we'll get good results, I think that will be the next wave of Bitcoin mining and AI chip technology that we'll be very happy to present to the market.
Turning to regulation,
sure.
We've seen a lot of regulatory advancements for crypto here in the US. And back in 2014, Andrew Ross Sorkin on Squawk Box asked you about regulation, and you said that you thought that regulation was a good thing.
Yes.
And now we're seeing things like the Clarity Act, market structure package that's currently being debated on Capitol Hill. We saw the Genius Act stablecoin bill become law here in the US, which was a huge milestone, the first piece of major crypto legislation to become law here in the US. We're also seeing a Bitcoin stockpile in the US. So is this what you had envisioned as it relates to crypto regulation? Is this what you wanted to see, or do you think more needs to be done? Do you think the US is kind of playing catch up? Where do you stand on all of that?
US is definitely playing a catch up, and we saw disastrous policies of the Biden administration in regards to the crypto has drifted a lot of innovation to UAE, to Singapore, to other places. And hats off to David Sachs, the AI and crypto czar, that is driving a lot of positive policies. And the light is shining on a hill again, and there is all of this crypto innovation that ought to be in the United States is coming back. We're doubling down on investments in United States in terms of AI, in terms of the mining.
Is that because of regulatory advancements?
Yes, because when the rules of the games are clearly defined, and when you know where you can go and how much you can push, and innovation is not hampered, that is a great way to accelerate and deploy capital, and we're doing so.
And what do you think about the Clarity Act, for example, and other legislative priorities on Capitol Hill? Is that what you want to see, or do you think more needs to be done?
More needs to be done. And I know a few of the leaders of GOP are pushing, and I think soon we'll have some comprehensive regulation coming out. Senator Loomis has been instrumental in driving that, and we're all for support. We are part of many organizations that are contributing, and I think US has a great chance to become not only AI capital of the world, but also the crypto capital of the world.
And it certainly will be very interesting to see if that happens. And when I was in Wyoming at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium, I know you followed our coverage there, but I interviewed Senator Cynthia Lummis, and she said that the Senate is in fact working on its own version of market structure, as you noted, and they're hoping to incorporate parts of the Clarity Act into its version of market structure. And they're hopeful that we'll see a market structure package become law here in the US before Christmas. Do you think that timeline is in fact realistic?
I think so. I think with the current administration, miracles happen and things get moving. So I'm hopeful that it will get done before the Christmas.
Even with this government shutdown in the mix?
Even with this government shutdown in the mix.
Now, turning to crypto VC trends,
Yes.
you're in the crypto VC arena. You're the founder of Cryptic 8 Ventures.
Yep.
As you noted, you backed mining names like Bitfury, Hut 8, and Cypher Mining. You've also invested in blockchains themselves.
Correct.
So what VC crypto trends have you been noticing as of late?
Yeah, I mean, I think the stablecoin movement that's happening is really be profound in terms of digital rails. And I think there's a lot of innovation happening on a Bitcoin layer too. There's a lot of startups that are building kind of smart contract capability and linkages with other blockchains. And I also see that some of the projects that are going after tokenization, real world asset tokenization, will be huge. I was just up in Harvard for Peter Diamandis' Abundance Summit, and we went to Harvard University and we met with brilliant scientists working on CRISPR, genomics, cancer research. And because of the government funding, we started out, making donations. And I told Peter, listen, why don't we tokenize those projects? Why don't we take these unique projects led by the scientists and we tokenize the economics and give it out and channel the energy of people that are interested in cancer, that are interested in genomics, and fund it this way. So I think you will see more and more of these real world applications using the tokenization, using the crowdfunding via the token economies come into force, and we're very excited about that.
Now, you actually wrote a book.
Correct.
And it's coming out at the end of this month.
On Satoshi Day. Correct.
Oh, how
yes,
appropriate.
had to be.
And it's titled, "And Then You Win, a Startup's Untold Story of Grit, Grind, and Glory."
Yes.
Can you talk to us about this book? What prompted you to write it? What's the main crux of this book?
I mean, at the end of the day, when we were building Bitfury, it was learning how to build a plane while flying it. That's a story. And this is the first insider story that was written. Typically, you had stories written by the journalists or reporters, but this is someone who's been inside the trenches, and the book is infused by many anecdotes, but many vignettes, and by many moments where we could have been completely wiped out, and we took all our life savings and we put in order to keep the machine going. And then you win. It's an arch of Gandhi. So first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And I think we went through all these stages, and we are now on the win phase. And that's an important phase because first, you should not relax. And second, you should pay a foundation for the next generation to be winning and doing good in this world.
George Kikvadze, thank you for this copy of the book.
Pleasure.
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Pleasure.
And thank you for joining us here in studio to talk all about crypto regulation, mining, how Bitcoin has evolved. We touched on a lot of topics, and we so appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Talia.
Thank you.
Thank you.